Hello and welcome everyone. In today's video, we'll be taking a look at a simple application, an application that is simple enough that shows all the functionalities and concepts of how you build a web-based application that can do request response with a large language model. And it is complex enough to cover various aspects of how a front end is built, how you build a backend, how do you do a real-time update using WebSockets communication, and how you do session management. So let's take a look at what we'll be building. Let's say, hello, my name is Mukul. Let's send it to the AI model. You see how it said that there is a request going to the AI model, and the model sent back a reply that it felt is necessary over here. And then we ask, what is my name? Let's see what it does. And it is sending a request back to the model, and it says that my name is Mukul. So in this communication, we ensured that we are sending a request. We are sending a request to the large language model. It is acknowledging that it is receiving a request. It is maintaining it in its memory somewhere, somehow, and then it is returning the response back. And if you saw over here, while it returned the response back, it got that response back. If you look down in the terminal section over here, there is the request response happening, and it got the response back by using some kind of tool from Wikipedia, which is pretty cool. So I did not ask it to do that, but the chat itself made that decision. How is all this happening? This is what we'll be taking a look at, and I may break it down into 2 or 3 part series depending on how much it takes to explain this, because believe me, there is a lot of small little different concepts to grasp over here, and I don't want to skip over anything. I want to detail out everything step by step so that you will understand how would you build an application like this. Let me show a couple more capabilities over here, and then I will highlight them once I break down into how we are building these small use cases. So when I type over here, right? So when I click over here and I type, you see how it got highlighted, right? And when I say, can you find more detailed meaning of my name? And let's see, and when I'm going to hit enter, just keep an eye on the changes that are happening in this box. What are different things that are happening over here, and changes that are happening in this terminal, and changes that are happening over these 2 line items over here. And I'll talk about everything later on, but just keep an eye on these 3 sections. One over here, one in these 2 boxes, and one at the bottom over here, right? And I'm going to hit enter now. So you say how it says sending request to AI model, and when it says that, these 2 boxes spike up. And then it is trying to do something over here, and it could not find anything more over here. And it sent the response back, and then it gave the response back over here. Meanwhile, while it was trying to get the response over here from Wikipedia, it said running or processing tools or something on those lines, right? Uh, let's see this. Can you look up the details online? And keep an eye over here, and take a look whether it shows you processing tools section, right? And when it says processing tools or something, processing tool calls, right? That is where it is attempting to do something beyond the AI model, but trying to process something over here. So see, it looked up something, and now it is sending these results to the AI model, and it'll all make sense in a second. But whenever it says sending request to AI model, our GPU spike up. When it says that it is sending details or processing tool calls, GPUs do not spike up, but there is some activity on the terminal over here. So how is all this working? If you notice, there are 2 different things happening over here. One is a request going to your AI model, which is thinking about things, processing data that it is receiving, and then sending a response back on the front end for the user to understand. And two, it is looking up some tools in the background, and it is trying to retrieve some data from either online tools, from some search engine, or from Wikipedia. But it is doing something, right? It is doing two level of things over here. One, searching online, and then providing those search results to an AI model. And we'll take a look at all this in a second too. But I wanted to showcase to you at a high level what this application is actually doing. Right, so it is a chat-based application, something that you have already seen. Like if you go to Chat GPT, and if you or let's you know what, let's open meta.ai. That helps in understanding, because I don't need to sign in over here, and it is right here, right? So in this case, if you just say hello, and let's do without logging in, and I'm old enough, let's just provide some details over here. And it sent me a response back. So if you see, there is a request response happening over here too. And you can continue a conversation over here too. This is meta.ai. Similar to that, this is an application that we have built over here. We are doing a request response, but on top of it, we are also utilizing some tools by going out to internet or going out to Wikipedia and getting some more details, right? So let's take a look what's happening. So as a user, you are opening a web page, right? So meta.ai, or in our case, this localhost 8000, you're opening a web page over here, and then you are sending a request to that web page by putting details in an input box. And then you just see the response back from there. But in the background, what happens? So in the background, there is a backend application that is capable of receiving requests, right? So what happens in the background is that your web page, which is you in a way, right? So I can just put you over here. Let me delete all this. So you as a user, or you as a web page, right? The application over here is sending any kind of request to the server. So when you say, my name is Mukul, and the server is responding back to you, you are actually doing a request and a response with a server. All right. So once you're doing these requests and responses, you want to make sure that every interaction that you are doing, it is being processed in a more meaningful way. What does that mean? That when you are sending a simple request that does not need any particular detailed information from internet, or something that the server doesn't already know, then it can just return the response back to you straight up. But when it does need to go out, reach out and do certain other things, right? So for example, when you have asked it a complex question for which it doesn't have an answer, then the server also need to go reach out to internet to get that complex answer. And this is what we will be building today. So we'll have a web page, a web application essentially, that will be doing a request response with a server. And this server is a AI server for us, right? So in our case, this will be a AI server. And AI server is nothing but a simple server that has some AI large language model deployed over there, right? So it is still the same server. It's just that it utilizes some kind of large language model capabilities in there. And we'll take a look at some of these AI servers and what does it mean. It's just a fancy word for a very simple server that we already use. And then when you are asking it a question that it cannot answer by itself, it'll go out, it'll use some tools, and how we use those tools is also something that we'll take a look. So at a very high level, there is a front end involved in this application. This front end is built with HTML and JavaScript. And this is the user interface where users can input their messages and receive responses from AI. And then there is a backend involved over here. a backend. In our case, we have built this with a fast API backend structure, right? So this is a Python program over here, and this is capable of handling incoming requests, processing messages using AI, and then doing something called WebSocket connections. Why WebSockets? Because it will provide a real-time communication between front-end and back-end, and will allow us to see the updates that the client is receiving in real time. So whenever I hit hello over here, so let's do this again. And it is this part of it where it says sending requests to AI model. This is the WebSocket based communication that we are having. And this is why this is very important to have a real-time communication open, right? We are also going to see a session-based storage over here, right? So why? So let me show you this. Let me open two different chat windows over here for us. And in each chat window, I'll do two different chat options for us. So over here, um, let me hit enter over here again, start a new chat session, and let me hit enter over here and start a new chat session over here too. All right. So in both these chat sessions, in this I will say, hello, remember that my name is Mukul. And over here, I will say, hello, remember that my name is Josh, let's say, right? So we sent two different requests to the server, one using this Firefox browser and another one using this Chrome browser, right? So there are two different browsers that are sending the requests. And then let's see, let me ask it, what is my name? And let me ask this also, what is my name? Right? So I'm sending two different requests over here again, and it is going to respond, your name is Mukul over here. And it, yeah, I didn't need Wikipedia to do that, but it got sent a response back that my name is Josh over here. So if we know a little bit about the request responses that are happening over here using RESTful APIs, right? So we'll be using REST to do the request responses. All these REST APIs, they are stateless, right? What does that mean? It means that every request does not remember the previous request, right? So the state is not managed in the request, which means that whenever we are sending a request to the server, it does not know about the previous request that was being sent to the server. There's no way of it to knowing that. Those states are not managed at all on the server side. So if the states are not managed, if every request is unique in its own way, right? So when I said, what is my name? How did the server know that I am talking about Mukul and not about Josh, right? How did the server know this? And this is where the session management comes into picture. So this application is not only doing a request response in a stateless manner, right? So let me prove to you that the request response is indeed stateless, right? So if I open the network tab and if I show you the request response that is happening, the request that was sent to the server was just this, what is my name, right? I did not send the whole conversation to the server. The request that was sent over here to an endpoint was, what is my name, right? But there was also a session ID that was sent. So somehow this whole chat session is maintained on the server side, right? So the chat session is maintained on the server side. And the request that is being sent to the server includes the chat session ID over there. And we'll go into details about all these things too, but I wanted to point out this small little detail that you can have multiple sessions open. You can have multiple different windows open. You can have multiple different details open. And in each window or tab or detail that you have opened, you can have your own session ID. And the session management will happen on the server side. All you have to do is to pass the session ID. And implementing these details are very simple, but the conceptual ideas are what I want to make sure that we understand over here. And then we can continue these concepts in a more complex scenarios too, right? So it is a simple implementation. I'm going to show you the concepts over here and the conceptual ideas, and then how you do a session management. There are multiple different ways in which you can do it. And I've just chosen a very simple approach because I've written every piece of code over here by my hand. So everything that you see does not utilize any kind of huge framework. I mean, yes, I've used some frameworks for using the CSS, for the Bootstrap for CSS. I've used jQuery for JavaScript over here. So very simple, basic, rudimentary frameworks that I have used to show the concepts. For session management, there is nothing fancy going on. The session ID is being stored straight in jQuery over here. So if you refresh the page, that gets recreated. It gets lost. The session management on the server side could be done in multiple different ways, but right now we are just storing in the sessions memory. So it is not being persisted anywhere, and we'll talk about all those details too. But at a very high level, I wanted to show you this application, the application that performs request and response with the AI server. And this AI server then goes out to internet, or it goes out to do some other APIs, right? To do request responses in turn with some other APIs. And those APIs return the response back, and then they load it back on the main web page that we have. All right, so I think I'll stop this video over here, and I'll make the next video explaining the architecture of the application. And please keep watching the whole series, and I'll go in detail into what this application is actually using to build this application. We are at a very high level. We will be using OpenAI APIs over here and Ollama both, and because they are interchangeable, and I will talk in depth in details how we are using all those OpenAI APIs and Ollama server over here. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.